Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Mast, and welcome to the 5.13 mid-season patch notes. I'm really excited about this patch. I have not taken a look at it yet. We will see what it has, but it should be a really good patch. It should be a very big patch, and we will actually take a little look at the skins for once, because these are pretty dope. We got Plushy Ganesh. I like it. I like it. Nightbane Jingwei looks pretty cool. Geek Beak Thoth, just, oh god, that is a Hi-Rez skin right there. We got some pretty cool stuff. We got some pretty cool stuff here. You guys can take a look for yourselves if you want. I'll go ahead and put a link in the description of the video, like I always do, for the patch notes link for where to find it. But as far as Project Olympus, we do have some more stuff coming in. So player behavior, while Smite is about a brutal clash between gods, it is important to focus on the environment and interactions between our players they experience every day. Games at their core are for fun, and nothing can put a damper on that quicker than someone who's creating a negative environment. Earlier this year, we ramped up our player punishment systems, putting an increased focus in creating tools to identify players that needed a warning or a ban to keep the game a more friendly and welcoming environment. This works, but it isn't all we can be doing. We are ramping up our focus towards saying thank you to our users who keep Smite a positive experience every day. These rewards are handed out both monthly and yearly to players who positively contribute to making Smite a friendly community. So they're doing a commendation system, which is going to allow players to give praise to other players who is strong. Allow players to give players to players who has strong guides, show great teamwork, it's just not written right, or are just plain friendly. Each month, players will gain points from players commending them for their positive actions, or from just playing with 100% goodwill. 300 points team skin booster, okay. 450 points triumphant champion chest, or 600 points triumphant godlike chest. That's kind of meh to me. I feel like it should be cooler than that, but whatever. I feel like it should be greater rewards for, being a decent person, but okay, it's pretty cool. And then yearly rewards, Baron Sabeti skin, loading frame, jump stamp, Baron Chibi avatar, meh. Nothing I really care about too much. Players who abuse the VGS system during a game may have their ability to VGS restricted, lowering the amount of times they can use commands. Okay. Really just, I don't know, it seems like fairly minor stuff. So I think let's move on from this. Game modes, fountains now tick more quickly and for smaller amounts while healing allies or dealing damage to enemies. I think that's a good change. Makes fountain much more reliable. Fountains have new particle effects on damage and heal. Fountains no longer affected by anti-heal. That's probably a good change, honestly. And players exiting the fountain will retain the fountain healing effect for an additional 1 second. So that's going to be good as well, because a lot of time you'll go out of fountain and you'll be like, oh, I didn't get that last heal. Now I feel like you probably should, right? So it's probably good. Timed queues, this is a big change that's happening. This is something where we're actually reverting to something that Smite had way back in the day. All normal and ranked game modes will be changed to a time queue system. I think this is going to be a good thing. Time queues will show a constant cooldown or countdown timer that indicates when the next match of that mode will begin. Players can see all timers for all modes at all times, allowing them to make decisions accordingly. When the timer reaches 0, all players in the queue will be sent a prompt to accept the match. Matchmaking will be done after accepting, so there is no penalty to declining the queue pop. So this should be a good thing. Basically what this should do is you're going to have a lot of people queuing at the same time. Instead of trying to just kind of mix and match as people are getting queued up, they're going to have specific match times where it's like, okay, maybe the queue lasts for 3 minutes typically. We've had, let's say theoretically, 50 people accept the queue within that 3-minute period. We're getting a 5v5 game going. What are the 10 closest people that are, like MMR-wise in terms of how good they are? Let's get the 10 closest people at the top together, and then in the middle, not really in the middle, but kind of in like the mid to high level, we'll go ahead and get those 10, and then in the middle, we'll get those 10, and so on. So it should be much more balanced matchmaking, ideally. You do get some weird stuff with timed queues where sometimes you have a timed queue and maybe not enough people are queuing, like late at night. As long as they just adjust the time, that won't be a problem. And you do get some occasional things like, for whatever reason, maybe a bunch of people in the same skill range queued at the same time, got in a match, and are not queuing now. And so sometimes you'll have time queues where it feels like there's no one near you, or maybe there'd be like 1 or 2 players. For the most part, from what I remember, time queues were a way better thing, and I'm excited for them. So it should be a good thing. All ranked modes. Ranked Conquest, Joust, and Duel have been soft reset to begin the fall split. That's typical. That's what usually happens, which means your elo still essentially kind of treats your elo as it should be, but you do get reset in terms of your actual TP. Ranked rewards have been updated. Early surrender conditions have been changed. This is something I'm excited about. Players will now be able to surrender before 10 minutes if a player disconnects and within the first 3 minutes and is not returned. So that's something for Ranked Conquest, Joust, whatever. If you have a DC, you're going to be able to actually surrender before the 10 minutes and not have to just miserably play 4v5 and get your ass kicked, right? So that's good. For all ranked modes, if an early surrender occurs, the following will happen. Active players on the team will lose 0 TP. The disconnected player will lose 2 times the full TP that they would normally lose, and the enemy winning team will win half of the full TP. I think that's okay. You get very punished for DCing, which is good because it's ranked, it's serious. The players on the losing team, I don't know about not getting punished at all. I mean, maybe that's fine, but like I think it would be okay if they just lost half, and then the enemy team winning half is fine, I think. And ranked duel surrender time changed from 10 minutes to 5 minutes for you duel players, and that's going to be awesome, for especially if you play gods that are not good, and sometimes your matchup blows and you just want to get out. It's going to be cool. So map changes to the Joust map. This includes duel, same map. So they're adding a new camp that's over near the Bull Demon King area. I haven't actually seen where exactly yet, but I'm assuming it's kind of right in that beginning Bull Demon room. I'm assuming it's just kind of on the far wall, over by like where you can jump over the wall into the, like you have that gap in the wall, but there's technically something there, so you have to jump over it to get across. So hopefully you guys know what I mean. So the camp's going to contain 2 armored tigers, each have 400 HP, provide 50 XP when killed, provide 13 gold when killed. That doesn't really seem like that much. I think that's going to be more of a Joust change than a duel change. It will mean something in duel, but it seems like it's more so of a Joust thing where when you're looking for something to compete over, but I feel like in duel it's not going to matter all that much. I could be wrong. But I think it's more so going to affect Joust. And then increased Bull Demon King HP from 1400 to 1750, his base HP that is, which I think is a good change because it's too easy to do him at an early level. I'm assuming that's true of Joust as well. Arena changes, I'm not going to look at these. I don't care about Arena. Clash changes, I'm not going to look at these. I don't care about Clash. Honestly, all that stuff. Conquest, here we go. This is the stuff I care about. Overall, we feel that Season 5 Conquest has been a huge success. We have solved many problems from the past seasons, including snowballing, excessive grouping up. I don't know about the snowballing. Mid is pretty busted right now. Excessive grouping up, yes, and lack of defined roles. Support. Support doesn't feel too defined right now. The art of the map looks great, and the SPL meta has had great diversity in strategies and god picks. One key problem with the map has been the impact of the duo lane. Pro players have learned to adapt quite well, but the general player base finds that the support player is often too far behind the rest of the team. This is true. We wanted to implement a subtle rule to fix this and make sure that the rule was exceedingly hard to abuse. In 5.13, the lowest player on each team will get bonus shared XP. We did this because it is guaranteed to only affect one player, and in a large majority of scenarios, it will only help the support. We did not want to put it on Guardian's Blessing because this opens up many easy ways to exploit the item. We could easily see a group up meta with many copies of this because extra XP, there we go, is that powerful. We made it shared XP because this is intended only for support. It is not intended to simply help out anyone who falls behind. If other lanes fall behind, they will have to change their playstyle to make use of this bonus. The bonus is not so intense that anyone could feed or troll and use it to make a quick comeback. It's intentionally subtle. If this works as intended, the strategy positions on Conquest shouldn't change much. Support players should find themselves slightly less behind than before, assuming everyone is playing well. So, basically, the way this is going to work... Oh, actually, hang on. We also slightly nerfed mid and jungle XP, and the Elder Harpy changes to... Okay. To address some concerns around mid and jungle having the highest impact. I guess that's fine in a way. We are going to talk about that at a future time. Okay, so the actual support bonus XP. After 2 minutes on the game clock, support bonus XP will turn on. This rule will give the lowest level player on each team a 25% increase to their shared XP only, not solo XP. This means a two-way split yielding 120% XP total would yield 60% to the higher level player and 60% times 1.25 being 75% to the lower player. So basically, how is this going to work? Dual lane splitting in the, after 2 minute stage is going to be quite a bit more effective. I mean, really the better way to think about it is when you're splitting between two people, which is what is going to normally happen, then instead of really thinking of it so much as 60% and 75%, if they're the same level, it's going to work kind of back and forth where it'll go basically 67.5% and 67.5%, because what's going to happen is if they're the exact same, or maybe, okay, let's say like ADC is more like I don't know, let's say ADC is 1 XP ahead, so support's a little bit behind. Support gets 75% on the next creep, and then it flip-flops, and then the ADC gets 75%, and then it flip-flops, and so both of them will get more farm if they're tied. Normally, support will be more behind, though, so it's going to affect support more so. The problem with this The problem with this, I like the change. I like that they're making support get more farm. Support needs more farm. This is not something that's going to be abused because it's specifically for the person with the lowest farm. The problem here is, though, ADC is not getting enough farm. And ADC will continue to not get enough farm. Because whether support is getting more farm or not, ADC simply has less farm options than mid and than jungle and than solo. ADC is still splitting farm and not getting enough buff rewards for it to pay off. Basically, here's what ADC gets. ADC gets dual lane, ADC gets purple buff, ADC maybe gets red buff. That's it. That's all the XP you can expect to get. Maybe you get a small camp on your way back from base. Like, you're not getting good farm options in the AD carry role, and you're splitting farm, which no other role is really doing. Because if you're mid and you split farm, it's because you're normally splitting farm with jungle or maybe with support, and then you go get at least one buff camp because there's more buff camps around mid. If you're solo, you're basically not splitting it. If you're jungle, when you are splitting it, it's because you're doing, again, that thing in mid where you're splitting farm mid, then splitting farm at camps, and that's still more effective. So the problem here isn't that much of a support problem. It is definitely somewhat, but the biggest problem, in my opinion, is the AD carry lack of farm, and that hasn't been addressed yet. So Hi-Rez still needs to do something about that. It's kind of a big deal. So hopefully we will see something change that soon. The Elder Harpy, this is mid camps and back camps both. That's basically the big Harpy. Mid camp has 2 of those. That's what makes up the camp. Back camps have 1 of those and then 2 smaller ones. Base XP reduced from 34 to 24. So this affects mid camps and back camps basically. I understand the change. I think it's stupid. I think it's really stupid. I'm going to do a whole video on that in the future, but basically the idea is this. Mid used to be a big point of contention, as it should be, because mid is literally the middle of the map. It makes a lot of sense. You get the middle of the map vertically, where you have, one base up here, one base down here, and you meet in the middle. And then you've got horizontally, duo lane, solo lane, you meet in the middle, and you can rotate to it. So it makes a lot of sense for both teams. It's a fair point to contest. Mid camps should be the most contested camp in the game. Mid camps are one of the least contested camps in the game, if not the least contested camp in the game, because I feel like right now it's almost like you steal more buffs from the other jungler than you contest mid camps with the other jungler, because they mean so little. And so that's something I'm going to do a video on soon. Mid camps used to be a very big deal. I think they should be a very big deal, because it's something to compete over in SMITE. And a lot of the time right now when you're competing, it's over kills, it's over the big objectives, or it's over invading. And it makes so much more sense to compete over the camp that's neutral than the camp on the other side of the map, So I think we'll talk about that soon, but now's not really now's not the time for it. Oracle's decreased base HP from 680 to 500. Thank God. It's about time. Oracles are way too tanky early game. It's stupid. You just shouldn't do them early game unless you have a bunch of teammates nearby. What? No, not my speed buff. Okay. Jungle buff changes. Speed buff. Decrease speed buff from 15% to 10%. Buff now applies additional stacks of 2% speed on each jungle camp kill/assist. Stacks up to 3 times. Stacks last 15 seconds. It's a little bit of a nerf. I guess that's okay. Red buff. Decrease power increase from 20% to 10%. This is a huge change. This power bonus increases from 10% to 15% when hitting enemy gods. Okay. I think it's good. Red buff gets a little bit of a nerf. That's probably a good thing. And then still does decent damage to enemy gods. So that's probably fine. It's a little complicated. I don't think it really matters that much. I don't know why they didn't just make it 15%. I don't know why they specifically had to make it towards enemy gods, but whatever. Purple buff. For each enemy god past the first within 55 units of you. Okay, that's an interesting way to do it. All enemies within that area will lose additional protections. 2 protections per stack. Stacks up to 4 times. What? So 1 enemy, 10 protection debuff. I see. So basically just the more enemies, you get another 2 protection debuff for everybody. Okay. They just wrote it really, really weird. Blue buff. Decreased mana restored from 25 to 15 per 5 seconds. That means instead of 25 MP5, it's 15 MP5, aka 5 mana a second goes to 3 mana a second, which is a really big nerf. Now restores 2% of your missing mana upon damaging a god with an ability. Only triggers once per ability. So basically a nerf to certain characters and not as much to others. That'll be interesting. I don't know why they're trying to make it complicated like that. I don't know why they don't just slightly nerf it, because I do think blue buff was too good, but I don't know why. I don't know. You don't need to make blue buff complicated. Blue buff should basically just be a long-term mana pot. It's what it's supposed to be. So I don't know. It's just my opinion. Jungle practice, we are going to completely ignore this. A in-game example would be way better for this. So we are just going to go away from this. Jungle practice is getting a huge revamp. That's cool. I'm really excited about it. We're going to move on. right? You know, you guys can just see it when it comes out. Let's see. Bug fixes, blah, blah, blah. We're going to ignore the bug fixes. They're bug fixes. Who cares? New items. This is something that I saw spoiled by Ajax. I'm pretty excited about. We'll see what they are. They have new mask tree that is coming in. We are reusing some of the old masks that you guys might recognize. Bumbas. Bumbas. Okay, well, now technically this is Bumbas, but this is the true Bumbas right here. So I'm kind of excited about it. So let's see. Masks are a new type of item coming to SMITE. Items normally only provide benefits, but masks are different. Masks allow players to trade off important stats like movement speed, damage, or defense in favor of boosting another one of those three stats. The way these stats are traded make a triangle. Damage done is traded for damage mitigated is traded for movement speed is traded for damage done. This allows classes to essentially shift themselves. Warriors can become more Guardian-like by trading damage done for extra mitigation, or can become more Assassin-like by trading survivability for movement speed. These items provide an exciting level of customization in SMITE, allowing players to really express their playstyle, while allowing high-end players some fun options to really shake things up. Okay, and you can only have one mask in your build at a time. Makes sense, it sounds like the masks kind of counter each other. So, Tier 1 mask, 500 gold, 50 health, 50 mana. This item blows. That's fine. Pretty garbage Tier 1. There's nothing wrong with that, really. 1,200 gold for Protector's Mask Tier 2. 50 health, 15 protections of each kind, and 10% crowd control reduction. Not great. Really not great. But again, I think the main point here is to get the Tier 3, right? So, Lono's Mask is the defensive mask, allowing players to stack on the damage mitigation at the cost of their own damage output. With reduced crowd control reduction and a large amount of mitigation, players can become walls for their team, but will need to utilize it well or risk not contributing to the team. Builds from Protector's Mask, it's 2,200 gold, gives 100 health, 50 protections of each kind, which is quite a bit. Definitely for the price is quite a bit. 20% crowd control reduction, minus 25% damage dealt, plus 15% damage mitigation. So here's what I'm getting. So far, I think this is going to be stupid. I think it's going to be dumb. Because here's what I'm getting. I'm not getting, oh, it allows warriors to play like a guardian. It allows assassins to play like a warrior. What I'm reading is it allows guardians to play more like guardians. And I'm assuming the rest of the masks are going to do the same. And I'm not seeing anything about class limitations here. So what I got is, what's a good example? How about Athena? Athena's a little bit of a weird one because she can do damage. But let's say you're trying to play Athena late game. You're being the CC, dash in, taunt, do shit for your team. Let's say I want to be tankier. I want to make sure that I can continue to frontline. I want to continue to peel for my team. Well, now I can buy Lono's Mask, get a bunch of protections for a pretty good price. It's a pretty cost-effective item. Reduce my damage, increase my damage mitigation. That's totally worth it. I don't hit that hard. I get way more mitigation. I'm already tanky to begin with. Keep in mind, damage mitigation is basically a percentage over the damage you're already taking. So if you have, it's just a percentage reduced from already low damage when you're a tank. So it's going to be really, really effective on tanks generally. So this just seems nutty to me. This just seems so busted as a late game tank. Early game, maybe not as much because your damage means more then. But late game, once you already have protections built up, this is crazy. So that's just me. Messenger's Mask. Build from the mask, 1,200 gold, 10 power for physicals, 30 power for magicals, 10% movement speed, 10% cooldown reduction. This one's a lot better than the other tier 2. The 10 power is not that big of a deal, but 10% movement speed, 10% cooldown for 1,200 gold, that's kind of like a slight upgrade over tier 2 boots, so that's not too bad at all. And then Bumba's Mask tier 3. Bumba's Mask is a mobility mask, allowing players to gain a large burst of speed and cooldown reduction at the cost of taking increased damage. Players will need to utilize this increased mobility to avoid getting caught in damage, lest they die very quickly. So, 2,400 gold for Bumba's Mask, 25 physical power or 60 magical power. Again, I think those are pretty good numbers. Nothing crazy, but just, they're useful. 20% movement speed, 20% cooldown reduction. That's a lot of speed. Plus 20% damage taken, plus 50 bonus movement speed. Wow. Loki mains, I am going to hate you even more now. It's just concerning. It's concerning. I like the idea for this. Don't get me wrong. I like the idea for this. The Bumba's Mask is interesting. The other one, not quite as much. I kind of get it, but I feel like it's going to, I don't know. Maybe I'm just being a little too hateful. The numbers are nuts. The numbers are fucking busted. I swear to God, these are going to get nerfed. If they don't, just rip Smite. I'm not even kidding. But the concept is cool. I will give it that. The concept is cool. The plus 20, I thought this was 25%. Plus 20% is actually not nearly as bad as I was thinking. Damage taken, for a bunch of movement speed and a really good item. Keep in mind, this is building over boots. So you're getting 18% movement speed off of boots, 20% movement speed, plus 50 movement speed. Keep in mind, 50 movement speed, I think, is around 20. I'm trying to think. So normally movement speed is like 375. So 50 movement speed would normally be like 12%. Basically, for most characters, it'd be around 12% movement speed. So it's more like this is 32% movement speed. Pretty good item for speed. So yeah, that's interesting. Let's go ahead and move on to the third one before we talk about it anymore. Fighter's Mask, 1200 gold, 10 power, 20 physical power. Wow, that's pretty cost effective right there. That's actually pretty decent. Or 50 magical power and 10 pen. That's, wow, especially for mages. This is a good item. Ranged as Mask. Ooh, I loved this item back in Season 4. Ranged as Mask is the offensive mask, allowing players to deal a ton of damage at the cost of their mobility. Oh boy. The amount of damage is impressive, but without movement speed, it can be difficult getting in and out of fights. So, 2,600 gold, 20 penetration, 50 physical power, 100 magical power, very good base stats, definitely worth the price. Minus 30 bonus movement speed. Are you kidding me? This is it? Minus 30 bonus movement speed, plus 15% ability damage, plus 20% basic attack damage. Oh my god. Okay, so, that's busted. It just is. Like, sure, you don't have the movement speed. I hope this is a typo or something. I don't think there's any way. Minus 30 movement speed is not a big deal. Minus 30% movement speed might have been a big deal. Keep in mind, again, we talked about this. Normal base movement speed is around 375. This is the equivalent of minus 10% movement speed. It's actually a little bit less. So, not that big of a deal. You just build some bonus movement speed if you really need it, and you hit insanely hard. So, this scares the shit out of me. This one kind of does. I think it's more of something that's going to be really annoying to deal with. I don't think it's going to be that broken. It's just going to make Loki really annoying. This one is not nearly as bad as the others, in my opinion, because it just makes tanks tankier, and that's not that big of a deal late game. So, yeah, this is terrifying. This is terrifying, like actually. So hopefully we'll get some massive nerfs. I don't think there is. I will literally build this every game on pretty much everybody, because this is just insane. I mean, this is borderline Rod of Tahuti with better stats on any class, right? Like this is crazy. Moving on, because I do think we need to move on before I rant even more about it. Elixir of Power. Elixirs are getting an identity upgrade. For 3,000 gold, they really signify a game that has reached the super late stages. We are giving them some buffs so teams that can get to them really feel their power and can use them to close out games. Elixirs are no longer lost on death and allow you to deal more damage to or take less damage from structures. Their duration is also increased to full... Sorry, got a hiccup. Their duration is also increased to full minute, allowing players to really get a lot of power for their gold. Elixir Power is no longer moved on death, while Elixir Power is active, you deal 25% additional damage to structures. Okay, so it's just to structures. It's not that they're not buffing it towards enemy gods or anything like that. Duration increased from 300 to 360 seconds. And then Elixir Defense, take 25% decreased damage from structures, basically the same thing. So, I'm okay with that. I get that, like, this could be kind of busted, but at the same time, I feel like if you're at that point in the game where you're way ahead of the other team, you get Elixirs first, you die, you lose one fight, but you keep the Elixir, I think that's probably fine. Because Elixirs are so insanely expensive, and you can lose them so quickly. So, decent change. We'll see how it works. Probably not going to actually see how it works because they're so rare to use. We probably won't notice very much, but could be cool. Soul Reaver. Looks like passive for Soul Reaver has been changed. It now has Ethereal Staff's passive. Okay. Your abilities deal an additional 2% of the target's maximum health as magical damage. If the target has over 2,000 health, your ability deals bonus damage. This effect reaches a maximum of 8% maximum HP, or maximum health damage at 2750 health. So, does this not have a passive? It does not have, or sorry, not a passive. Does this not have an internal cooldown? It does not. So, basically, anytime you now use an ability towards a target, you're going to get this passive when you have Soul Reaver. So, let's say I'm Hebo, and they have a lot of HP. They have 3,000 HP, which means we get the maximum 8% bonus. I press 1, I press 3, I press 4, and I do an extra 24% of their HP all at the same time. Get my 1 back in a second. Now let's make it 32%. This is going to be really nuts versus tanks. This is probably going to need a nerf. It's going to depend on the god, too, which is why I don't like it as much. That's why I think internal cooldowns are a good thing. Ethereal Staff, getting another change. Whenever you damage an enemy god, you steal 8% maximum mana, as well as 4% maximum health from the target. I'm assuming steal means it goes towards you, buffs you, debuffs them. The stats remain stolen for 45 seconds, and targets affected can have multiple buffs and debuffs at once. Wow. This can only occur every 15 seconds. So basically, you can get, this said for 45 seconds, right? So for yourself, you can steal 12% maximum health and 24% maximum mana from anybody. And you can also, you can mix and match a little bit. And this will just kind of keep you buffed, right? And it'll kind of basically, it looks like what'll happen is, let's say you hit somebody 45 seconds ago and you stole their health. Now it's 46 seconds, that drops off. You hit somebody new and you get theirs. So you kind of can keep it up if you keep doing that. So it's an interesting item. I think it's a cool change. I think it's a cool change to Ethereal. Not sure about the Soul Reaver change. Not sure about this one, but I think it's a cool change to Ethereal. Book of Thoth, increased cost from 2650 to 2800, decreased power from 100 to 80, increased mana from 125 to 250. Wow, increased mana conversion from 3% to 5% when it evolves. That's huge. That's interesting. So they're making it less of an early game item, more of a late game item. I think that's a good change. I think that's a good change. Book of the Dead is also seeing a shift to benefit more from total mana. So Book of the Dead no longer provides health. The shield now calculates based on your total mana, not current mana. Increased passive mana shield from 15% to 20%. Lowered health threshold for passive trigger 50% to 40%. Okay. I think that's pretty decent. Take away the health, but you kind of buff the rest of it. So should be good. Sorcerer's Staff received a little nerf to the mana. Warlocks received a decent nerf to the mana, taking off 200. That's a pretty big deal, but I think it's a good change. I think Warlocks does have too much mana. It's more of a health item. It has a lot of mana on it, so that's probably good. Makes Book of Thoth stand out a little bit more. Typhon's Fang reduced power from 100 to 80, and increased bonus magic power from your lifesteal, total from an equivalent amount to twice the amount. Okay, so basically this is reducing the base item, but it is buffing the passive. So when you're using Typhon's Fang as you should be, which is as a second to third lifesteal item, then it's going to get a decent buff to your power. It's going to be better overall. So it is overall a buff. It is overall a buff to Typhon's Fang, which is good. Increased cost from 2400 to 2500 on Bancroft. I think that's good. I think Bancroft is too cheap. Restored Artifact, who cares? MP5, 20 to 15, it's not that big of a deal. Chronos Pendant, decreased power from 100 to 90, decreased MP5 from 25 to 20. Not a big surprise. Just Chronos Pendant's a tough item to balance, man. We keep seeing it. It was getting buffed and buffed and buffed, and now everybody loves it. Now it's going to get nerfed, and it's probably going to get nerfed a little bit more. Rod of Asclepius, the bonus healing provided now only increases the healing from abilities. This effect no longer provides a bonus to potions, lifesteal, or health restoring buffs like the FG. That's good. That's something that shouldn't have been in the game. Same for Rod of Healing. Oni Hunter's Garb, increased damage mitigation per stack from 2% to 3%. Okay, so Oni's got a pretty big buff to the passive. Maybe it'll actually get picked up now. We'll see. Didn't get picked up much before. Midgardian Mail, increased cost from 2250 to 2300, decreased movement speed flow and attack speed flow from 10% to 8%. This is literally exactly what I wanted them to do to Midgardian, maybe minus the cost change. I wanted to see 10% to 8%. We will see how strong it still feels like it is. I think this is a good change. Just a small nerf. We'll just rebalance it a little bit. It'll definitely make an impact, but it's nothing crazy. Silver Branch Bow, increased attack speed from 20% to 30%. This item kind of sucks, so I think that's a good change. I feel like they just need to rework the passive, though. I don't think the passive is all that good. Toxic Blade, increased attack speed from 20% to 30%. Wow. Toxic Blade, definitely going to be more of a Conquest item. As a dual player, I feel like it's already good. As a Conquest player, I get the change. They should do it. Stone Cutting, getting a change from 2600 to 2500 gold. Little buff for Stone Cutting. It's good. Poison Star, reduced the damage reduction and slow from 20% to 15%. I think that's good. Wind Demon got a little bit of buff for price, taking off 100 gold. Wind Demon could use it. Poison Star is definitely the go-to, so that makes Wind Demon a little bit more viable. Spectral Armor increases bonus damage taken from crits from 50% to 60%. I'm assuming that basically... Oh no! So they wrote this stupid. I don't know why they wrote it this way. No, they're not buffing it, they are nerfing it. So basically, the way to think of this is instead of reducing the damage taken from crits by 50%, it's reducing it by 40%. And they just wrote this wrong because they're saying they're nerfing it. So Warrior's Blessing, decreased health from 100 to 75, decreased health and mana restore on trigger from 40 to 30. Thank you. This item is way too strong. I'm glad that they're changing that. Should make soloing a little bit more fun. Shifter Shield, decreased cost from 2500 to 2400. Okay. And Sundering Spear, reduced cooldown from 140 to 110. Pretty decent buff for Sundering Spear. Probably still not going to get picked, though. We'll see. God Balance. Sorry, this is a long patch, guys. A long patch. I'm trying to get through it fairly quick. Freya. Passive change? Large rework on her passive and first two abilities. Wow, we should read these. Okay. The goal for these changes is to even out her power so she isn't so binary. The way she can deal damage now is very 100% or 0. So we're giving her a new mechanic that separates her from the cast of ranged magical ADCs and keeps her overall identity for the current fans of Freya as a multi-role hybrid. Freya's Pulse has been renamed Aurora Blades and now works as a toggle. So that's more like Xbalanque's Bola. You know, you turn on the one and it toggles instead of just being a cooldown thing. When a point is put into Freya's melee attacks, when a point is put into it, Freya's melee attacks become empowered, dealing more damage. Freya can then toggle it on to gain ranged basic attacks that pass through targets, stopping on gods, and inherit a smaller amount of the bonus damage. The catch is these ranged basic attacks take a large amount of mana per shot, meaning this can only be sustained for so long before Freya needs to regenerate her mana. Luckily, her new passive, Mystic Warrior, offers her a way to do that. Freya's melee attacks will restore 6% of her missing mana per attack. Wow, 6%. Giving a quick way to restore mana is... okay, guys, typos, come on. I know it's a long patch, but come on. Giving a quick way to restore mana to... If Freya is willing to put herself at risk. In addition, Freya no longer has the bonus life steal, but regenerates 2% of her health each time she connects with a ranged basic attack. Okay? Finally, Irradiate has been replaced with Northern Lights. Freya empowers her next basic attack to deal bonus damage in an AoE and slow nearby targets. While it functions as a strong single stim for her melee attacks, range attacks can trigger the damage and explosion on each target hit. Be careful when standing next to the minion wave against Freya, or it will be lights out. Haha, because Northern Lights, I get it. Banish has remained unchanged. Whoop is a, I love that they called it Whoop, is a core ability to Freya's identity, allowing her to set up for her team and her own attacks. Valkyrie's Discretion also has the same functionality, but has a small damage nerf to help her overall balance. Whew. Oh, I gotta catch my breath. Okay, not really. I don't breathe. Brigamins. Oh my. Brisingamins. No, it's Brigamins. I think is how it was pronounced. Has been reworked. Maybe I'm tripping. To Mystic Warrior. Freya's melee basic attacks. We read that. Okay, we don't need to read that one. Northern Lights. So this is her new one. Damage 70 to 250 plus 75% of her magical power. Cooldown 9 seconds. Keep in mind this is the one stim that you're shooting out. So Freya empowers her weapon, making the next basic attack that's an enemy within the next 5 seconds deal bonus damage in an area around the enemy. Enemies hit by the explosion are slowed for 2 seconds. Minions take half damage from the explosion. That's important to note. Okay. Aurora Blade. Pulse has been reworked to Aurora Blade. Freya can switch between empowering her melee attacks or shooting pass-through range basic attacks that stomp on enemy gods. So it should be decent wave clear, right? Because minions do take damage. They just don't take too much bonus damage, right? So both her melee and range basic attacks gain bonus magical damage. While toggled on, each range basic attack drains mana. Minions do not take the bonus damage from the ranged version of Aurora Blade. So melee bonus is 20 to 76 plus 20% of her power, and range bonus damage is 15 to 47 plus 15% of her bonus power, or of her magical power. So I should note, I think this is really cool. I don't know if it's going to be balanced. If anything, it looks like it'll be a little bit weaker, in my opinion, than it was before. But actually, maybe not. No, maybe, I don't know. We'll see. I feel like her 2 overall is going to be weaker. I think her 1 will be an interesting change. But I like it. I think it's actually really clever kit design. I got to give props to Hi-Rez here, because what we're seeing is Freya going from just being steroids to being actually like having to pay attention to her mana pool. Now she has sort of a Thanatos mechanic in a way. Thanatos is probably not the best example, but she has sort of a Thanatos mechanic where she has to basically auto-attack to regen mana. She uses a lot of mana. I think it's cool. I think it's exciting. I like it. Valkyrie's Discretion, decreased damage per blast from 100 to 240 to 80 to 220, decreased power scaling from 35% to 30%. I think that's fine. Freya ult's pretty nuts, so I think it's a good change. Ooh, Bakasura undergoing a large amount of tweaks. Okay. I think with this one, we'll just go ahead and read it. This ability no longer decreases physical protection of enemies hit by it. Okay. This ability now causes enemies hit by it to take 10% increased damage from all sources. Wow. Does it say how long it lasts? No. Right? No. Okay, so I don't know how long that lasts, but that's interesting. I'm assuming it is not permanent, because that would be insane. Eat Minion, decrease post-fire animation time. Thank God. From 0.7 seconds to 0.2 seconds. Basically, that means when he eats, he will not be just unable to do anything to you for 0.7 seconds. Now it's only 0.2 seconds. That helps a lot. This ability now places an additional target over targets that can be instantly devoured. Okay. Should be helpful. Regurgitate increases projectile speed from 80 to 120. I'm assuming that just means it casts quicker. I think that's what it means. Like when you're shooting at a distance is quicker, right? I'm pretty sure. Bakasura may now choose to eat his own. Oh, maybe it means the autos go off quicker. I don't know. It doesn't matter all that much. Bakasura may now choose to eat his own minion pets from this ability. Gross. Wow, so he can eat his own. That's really cool. That's actually a cool change. I never thought of that. Eating one of his own ult minions to heal himself and buff himself and give himself part of his passive. I think it's a really good change. I like it. Apwa. Thank God. Apwa needs changes. The focus for Apwa is to help his viability at competitive levels of play while keeping his overall strength in other modes in a reasonable place. Let's just go ahead and move on. So, Undead Search, increased zombies thrown from 1-1, 2-2-2 to 2 at all ranks. Okay, so you don't need to max this ability now if you don't want to, or at least not max it to the rank 3. So you get the 2 bodies before you basically had to. Empty the crypts. Enemies hit by this have a 20% healing reduction applied. This effect stacks up to 3 times. Wow, that's pretty strong. In the last 5 seconds, the damaging spirits now pass through all walls, structures, and players. Empty the crypts now persists after Apwa dies. So big buff to his ultimate. His ultimate sucked. That's a good change. Artemis. Still target. That's her 1, right? I think it's her 1. Artemis's basic attacks deal 30% more damage to enemy minions and 15% to enemy gods. Oh no, that's her passive, isn't it? If they are affected by crowd control. Does not include knockbacks, blinds, or grabs. What? Wait, to enemy minions and okay. The gods I get, but the minions one is weird. Deal bonus damage to enemy minions when they're affected by crowd control. Okay. Okay, that's interesting. I mean, I guess that works with her 3. It's just it's weird. It's a weird concept. You don't normally think about CCing minions. So, okay. So I think this is a good change. So this is her passive, by the way. So basically it's giving her more reliable damage that makes more sense instead of giving her random bonus crits. So, okay, I think it's a good change. A lot of Artemis mains may hate it, but random bonus crits early game is kind of stupid. Oh no. Oh, okay, this is fine. This is fine. They changed Hunbot's passive. It is basically now Hi-Rez, but weaker. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. So it looks like it's a nerf though. Anyways, let's read it. Infused Strikes, that's his passive. This buff no longer provides 30% crit chance. This effect now causes Hunbot's next successful basic attack to deal 20% more damage. This is a nerf, even though it is not RNG. It is a nerf because this basically goes from 30% chance to do 2 times more damage to 100% chance to do 20% more damage, essentially meaning instead of going 30%, it's to 20%, and it's actually reliable. So I would like to see this, be the exact same. Hunbot's is not broken, so I would like to see this be 30%. Kind of annoyed about that. Overhand Smash. Hunbot's is no longer affected by directional movement penalties during this ability while it's firing. That's good. Fear No Evil can now be deployed in walls, reducing the change of it failing to fire because it is clipping in a wall. That's good. They need to do that to a lot of other abilities as well. But Fear No Evil is one that definitely got affected by that. Naja, Righteous Spirit, which is his 2, not her 2. Got it, nailed it. Buff stacks no longer provide critical strike chance. Buff stacks now provide 0.5% movement speed and 1 physical power per stack. That's pretty good because that's going to make Naja ult do more damage when you use the 2 and then the ultimate. So that makes more sense because you don't need crit strike chance on your ult because you already have crits, right? So good change, I think. Oh, boom. Ravana is now an assassin. I did not know that was happening. Decreased base HP from 450 to 400. Decreased HP for the level from 82 to 75. Increased base HP 5 from 7 to 8. Increased HP 5 per level, blah, blah, blah. Basically, he's getting, he's getting nerfs and some buffs and stuff like that. We don't need to read all these too much. Wow, increased attack speed per level from 1 to 1.7. That's a pretty big change, actually. Chain of Blows can now stack on damaging structures. That's his passive, I'm pretty sure, right? Should be. Stacks are now gained per hit. Stacks now provide 3% movement speed per stack. Wow. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. So when you actually stack up a bunch of those shields, you're going to be gaining movement speed as you go as well. So that's cool. And then you lose it once the shield's fully broken, which makes sense. 10-hand Shadow Fist, increased physical power scaling from 55% to 70%. Overhead Kick, decreased cooldown from 20 to 12 to 18 to 14. So buff early on, nerf later on. Okay. Wow. Sounds like they mostly just nerfed him, but maybe not. I mean, they nerfed a bunch of his late game stats and his early game stats. But they did buff his passive, they did buff his 3, and they basically nerfed his 2. This is basically a nerf to the 2, because late game is when it really stands out. Anubis, mana cost change, not really that big of a deal. 60 to 100 went to 60 to 80, 70 to 110 goes to 70 to 90. Good change. Anubis was really mana hungry as he got those abilities leveled up. It's a good change. Apollo Cross the Sky fixes description, not saying this ability apply to knock up on landing, so it's basically a bug fix. Baron Semity. The skull that appears to show a player is affected by hysteria has now been offset to help players see while affected. Okay. Vivid Gaze, damage decreased from 80 to 280 to 60 to 240. Wow, big change, especially level 1. Scaling decreased from 70% to 60%. Pretty big nerf to Vivid Gaze. Consigned Spirits decrease heal from plus 15% of a target's missing HP to 12.5%. Decent change to the heal as well. Oh, wrap it up. Change slow to root to a new CC term, ramp to root. The ramp up to the root is considering a root for all CC immunity purposes, or is considered a root for all CC immunity purposes, and if it is cleansed, it will result in the full root not applying. Decrease damage over time and Hysteria AoE duration from 4 to 2.5. This has caused the overall damage this ability deals to go from 80 to 336 plus 40% to 50 to 210 plus 25%. Wow, huge nerf to the damage of the 3. I think that is a good thing to do. I think Baron just got nerfed to shit, but his ultimate is still nuts. I think he will be okay. I do think he will definitely fall from being just the god. We'll see, but I think he got enough of a nerf that he will not be top tier anymore, and he will just be pretty good. Chang'e. Increased cooldown from 5 to 6 on Crescent Moon Dance. I believe that is her 1. It is her 1, because her 1 is the one with the 5-second cooldown. I know my Chang'e. Waxing Moon decreased ult damage from 160 to 460 to 160 to 420. So a little nerf late game, not a big deal though. So you just felt like Chang'e's had a rise recently. They're going to nerf her a little bit. I think that's fine. Chronos, doing basically the same change to his 3 as they did to Baron's 3. Nothing really right home about it. Just makes sense. Just basically a new CC. Increased camera height on Cupid from 36 to 64 to give players a more consistent camera angle compared to other gods. That's actually a really good change. Cupid feels weird. Blight now has a debuff effect that lowers the target's magical or physical power by 5%. Okay, a little buff to Hades. Got it. Kali increased heal on assist from 15% to 20% from her passive. I like it. Kukulkan, Slipstream increased movement speed from 40 to... What? Is Slipstream this nuts? Has it always been this much? What? That's insane. I don't remember it being that fast. Increased movement speed from 40 to 80% to 60 to 80%. Holy shit. I think that's just wrong, right? Anyways, Kukulkan, he's a speedy boy. He's a speedy snack. Spirit of 9 Winds, decreased cooldown from 80 seconds to 70 seconds. Got it. Adjusted the effects on Rama ult. Serket, oh. They're nerfing my girl, aren't they? Decreased damage from consuming 3 poisons from 25% max HP to 20%. That's a nerf to my girl. Fixed an issue where targets inside the hit area for Deathbane would not take the full amount of hits. Oh, okay. That's weird. I don't know why it would do that, but they changed that. Last Breath decreased base damage from 210 to 690 to 200 to 640. That's actually not that big of a nerf. That's whatever. I think it's fine. Zhang Kui. Last thing, finally, we are through, boys. Zhang Kui has come back in a big way. His ability to reliably stack and the protections he receives for keeping those stacks really allows him to be the upfront damage dealer he is known for. While the changes have really helped him, he is now too safe for the amount of pressure he brings to a fight. We are reducing the amount of protections he receives from Demon Bag and toning down the stun duration on Book of Demons. Decrease protections per stack from 1 to 0.8 on his passive. Decrease stun duration from 0.7 to 1.1 to 0.6 to 1. Basically, really small nerf. Zhang Kui is still going to be good. So, that is the patch, guys. Thank you all for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed. Let me know if you have any ideas for how you'd like to see this done differently in the future. Because this patch took forever to come out, I'm going to go ahead and upload it without any edits. If they do want to actually release the patch notes after the patch, because they basically do the stream at 11 Eastern, and they release the patch notes at like 5 Eastern, and I got to get the video up on actual today. So otherwise, I would put in edits. If you guys think the edits are super important, let me know, because I do like doing those, but I'm not going to do it today. But I did do that in the past, and I thought it was really cool, so let me know. But thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed. I'll see you all in the next one.